Thank you. Okay, it is 6:10 p.m., October 17th, 2023. The basement of the auditorium. This is the Eureka Springs Parks and Recreation Commission regular monthly meeting. We need roll call. Should I just go through and say your name? Beth Geltner.
Carissa Leatherland.
Mark Ingram.
Rod Gray.
Sam Dudley.
Sam and Ruth Gubben-Hager. We're all here except for we're missing Jonathan Tigan and Laurie Crammon. Thank
Laurie.
you. See, I forgot about her. She's gone too long. But we do have a quorum, so
We do.
we do. Okay, may I have an agenda or a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So move.
It's Rod. Do you have a second? Second. It's Beth. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. The agenda is approved. Okay, public comments are next. I see we have someone here for public comments.
Yeah, I'm just personally upset that there's going to be heavy equipment in what has been a really beautiful, delicate area in the park.
I'm sorry, Sue, I'm going to interrupt you. I know we know who you are, but for the
Oh,
recording.
sorry, thank you, yes. I'm Sue Hubbard from Eureka Springs.
Thank you.
And at the end of the last meeting, it seemed, even though there wasn't a vote, there was consensus that this should be looked into further and maybe speak to some more experts. I'm not aware that that's happened. It definitely wasn't mentioned at the last workshop when this Kate was discussed. So Sam, you're making wrong assumptions here, please correct me. I'd be happy to hear that this was looked into more. And I know Scott, when he was the director, had set up a system that's kind of referred to as the NARP that does assessments of the biology of a particular area before work is done. And then it was your predecessor, Sam, so I don't think you're necessarily obligated to follow that. But I would like to put in a strong recommendation that there is a process for reviewing and knowing what biologically is in an area before work is done. If there are sensitive, rare things, a lot of times they can be avoided if you know that they're there, but if you haven't even looked into that question, they may get destroyed. So I'm really just asking that it's fine if that document goes away, but I'm just hoping that there'll be some process that really looks into that. And then I was also really concerned. I mean, even the initial cost of this was $15,000. And it was a brand new project. It definitely wasn't approved in the last budget, but it went ahead without a vote of the commissioners. And there's going to be more costs involved, the bridge, ongoing maintenance. So I just want to make sure that commissioners also have a process in place and it's clear when they do need to have a budget amendment before the executive director goes ahead with the project. And I'm not putting aspersions on Sam at all, but I think any generic director at this point will go, okay, if I've got another project and it's $15,000 or less, I can go ahead and do it. So I just want to make sure that there is, obviously for very small things, the director should have the discretion to go ahead and do it. But I'd love to see, it's always been unclear what the boundary is and when the director does need to come. And I really would ask the Commission to look into that and come up with a clear set of guidelines so everybody is aware of what the director can and cannot do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. There's a giant spider on the floor over there.
It's a wolf spider.
Is it? Okay. It was crawling towards Sue. I thought, should I say something? There's a big spider crawling across the floor towards you. I thought, it's a wolf spider. We're good. We're good.
It's big.
He's going to go eat some brown recluses. What's next? Chairperson's comments. I don't really have any tonight. I'm good. Go straight to director's report. Sam?
Yeah, hi. So we had another busy month. We did start 2 projects at Lake Leatherwood, one being the dam walkway being restored. So that's underway. I was going to talk with Stacy sometime this week and get kind of an update for how the progress is going.
Do they have a potential end date?
Oh, well, that's kind of what I was going to gather for this week, just to kind of have an idea. We also started the dredging down there at the creek, and yeah, we I mean, that's a good point of just like knowing where those boundaries are in terms of what we need to get approval for. I've tried to stray on the caution side, you know, in terms of getting y'all's approval for things, so.
You absolutely have. I mean, I would say there have been a lot of times when we said, you don't have to come to us for that, but you come to us
Anyway.
for everything. And we have done budget amendments, because one of the big things that we all agreed on at the budget time, we're not going to budget some things, but when we needed them, you could come to us, we would add it from the reserve, and we have done that every time. It's never been anybody's discretion. I mean, it's come to us, we have added it by motion every time. So I don't think we really have an issue with that at all.
I also just want to clarify that, you know, this project was approved by the Corps of Engineers before we started, just to reiterate. I know people have been talking about it, so we did get it approved. I did talk with certain people who are, you know, professionals in this industry. One of them owns a river restoration company and loves Lake Leatherwood, so went out there several times with him and walked the area. We've also, we've still been working really closely with Stephen Dickey, the previous interim director, not just with the watershed assessment, but also with the basic outlines of the NERP, you know. Anytime we've had any issues, we've been going out there with him and identifying certain trees. That hike that we posted on Facebook where we're out there identifying leatherwood trees, so that was kind of part of that, just so we can educate ourselves on what they look like, and if you come across them, you know, try to protect them. Don't you know, do anything around them that might hurt them. So, yeah, so Stephen's been great in that regard too. He's been going out and helping us with identification of certain things and just, you know, making us feel a little more assured that we're not doing anything that might hurt the ecology. Yeah, so in other news, we did the native tree giveaway, which was awesome. Boom. Rod was there all day helping, so he gets a high five. You guys
Thank
don't
you.
get a high five.
You want?
You get a low five.
I get a very low five, but
Yeah.
I did have to hurry.
You were there.
I was there.
wasn't there, no. I was working all day.
No, it was a busy weekend for a lot of things happening around town, but it went really well. We made quite a bit of money just by setting up a table with t-shirts for sale and donations as well. So went really well. Just want to publicly say thank you to Just Be Coffee, Don, Matt, and Scott Thompson for playing the music, and Katie Zare and Katie Amback for making those delicious snacks, which took a lot of time and effort for them to do that.
Could you repeat, I'm sorry, can you repeat who the thank yous are to?
Oh yeah, sorry, Just Be Coffee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for the coffee. Belinda brought down a bunch of coffee for everybody. It's nice, yeah. Then Don, Matt, and Scott Thompson played music. Katie Zare and Katie Amback provided snacks.
I'll just get it from you later.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And then Float Eureka donated a raffle prize, which was actually intended for Jamboree, but it was so crazy during Jamboree we couldn't give it away. But yeah, we ended up giving it out during that time. And then, of course, the Walton Family Foundation for, you know, purchasing the trees. So that was great. We installed a mini split at Cabin 1, which is, you know, like kind of the first step in what we really need to do at Cabin 1. It's got a lot more that needs happening, but that's a good start. And then also kind of randomly, we had a guy come in and did chip and seal around the front of the cabins. And I know like the road repairs were on the budget originally when I first started, and it was up to like 70,000.
Right.
So I spoke with Ruth about it, and you know, she agreed that this is just basically maintenance. I mean, it's kind of pricey, but we could afford it, and the price was really good. So we did chip and seal around the cabins, and also chip and seal in front of the visitor center and the bathhouse.
And it wasn't 70,000.
No, it was not $70,000. Sorry, I would like to reiterate those.
Wonderful.
Yes. 12. Sorry. We also have a couple of projects happening at Harmon Park, and we're hoping to actually generate some more funding by engraving and installing bricks at both the Bart Park and the playground. There's brick pads, that we could put in the small dog park. And I got a friend who can engrave the bricks for X amount of dollars, then we sell them with the engraving on it for X amount of dollars, and we use those funds to help fund some of these further projects. We put a lot of love in the Harmon Park, but there's just a few more things that we need to get over the line. So one of them is new signage too, but
Oh,
yeah.
there are bricks down there, right?
Yeah.
But,
The ones that were already engraved are still there, right?
okay.
Yes.
And then
Put those back.
the ones you took out or that you have left are the ones that
They're
are not.
blank, yeah. And so we had a lot of blank ones like mixed in with those ones with the engraving on it. So I was like, well, why don't we, we could just make one pad with the ones that are engraved, and then,
Add to it.
Let's try to get some people
Yes.
who want to help out and
That's cool.
donate some money, so,
Cool.
yeah. Edits to the trail maps are underway. We hope to get those done soon, and then we can get them printed. Thank you to the members of the Old Trails Committee, Dorothy Gorton, for helping us out with that. Oh yeah, also at Harmon Park, Adam Brockett finished some projects for us that he did a good job, so thanks for referring him. He's good, so
Good.
we're hoping to move forward on the building restoration there next to the parks office.
Yes.
And the fencing above the bathroom is finally like at a state where I'm like, okay, people can go up there and hang out, and I don't feel like they're gonna fall off. At Basin Park, today, actually, I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook, but
Yeah, the crystal.
yeah, we got the crystal back. It's been gone for like 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's just been floating around at different parks, and there's a photo of, so right in front of if you're looking at Basin, right behind the fountain, and there's the Doughboy, and then there's the terrace wall, and like right in the center of that terrace wall, there used to be this crystal that was the Spanish-American War Memorial. And they got taken down, I think, when actually it was Bruce who like redid the walls, and they had to take that stuff down. So when they did, it got relocated somewhere. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I know what happened.
But it ended up at Harmon Park somehow in our front garden. And so Tom Misko, the American Legion, basically came and was like, hey, we need to get that back. And
Good.
so it's been kind of a process, but we finally got it back in. And yeah.
Deal.
It's a memorial to the Spanish-American War.
Yeah. Well, to the veterans of not to the war itself so much, but.
Good distinction.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's actually someone, in talking about all this, there's a photo of Butch, Mayor Butch Berry, in front of it when he was like 8 years old.
Wow.
And you can see the crystal back there, and you're like, oh, yeah, there it is, it's right there. So we
That
got
needs-
it right back where it's supposed
That
to
needs
go.
to get in the paper.
Yeah. We'll move the plaque too. There's a plaque on the back of the Doughboy that's supposed to be for that. But it's going to be kind of a process to remove that off and put it on the new thing without damaging too much. So
Yeah, the plaque stayed in Basin Park for some reason, and the crystal got moved.
I think they just didn't know what to do with the plaque, so they just stuck it on the back of the Doughboy.
I
And
guess
it's
so.
like,
It's been that way for a
even though
while.
it's not relevant to that. Anyway, it was a cool project. And then also the stairs, just would like to let everyone know the handrail on the stairs is temporary. I know bolts were put in, but it's the only way you can attach it to the stone is by putting in bolts. I mean, there's no other way to do it. So Stacy Stonework put in the temporary handrail for us, which is great. I'm talking with Kyle right now to actually redo, because the stairs need to be replaced anyway. We're thinking about like redoing, it's kind of hard to explain, but instead of just going straight down onto the sidewalk, you'd actually come out halfway down, build a landing, and then turn it to where you actually like go onto the sidewalk as opposed to,
Right
you know,
to the street.
so like leads you up into the park.
Right.
Because so many people like just walk right by the stairs and then they're in the road.
We literally
Yes.
walked there recently, and I remember going down those steps thinking, this is kind of dangerous, because it didn't have a handrail, and it was just sort of,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so, and then I saw the infamous Facebook post, but Yeah, it's much better. I don't care if it's temporary or not, it's much
Yeah,
better
yeah,
than,
yeah.
than
The thing's
not
been-
having one at all.
We tried a lot of different things. I mean, I just would like to let you all know, we did try to fix it several times, and it just, you're trying to adhere it to a broken step, and so it's never going to work. So we just figure if we're going to have to redo the whole thing anyway, let's try to improve, rather than just building it as is.
Right.
So long as we do it correctly and get HDC approval, then I think we can do it. I think that's it.
That's it.
Didn't you say that there was another railing at Crescent Spring or something that got fixed?
Yeah, Gad Spring.
Yeah, that railing got.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's our secret ninja welder assassin. He just showed up one day, and I was trying to talk to him about doing it. He just showed up one day and didn't mention that he did it or anything, and I came over there and it was done. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
And that's the metal railing, right?
Yeah, the metal part. So yeah, it's like wooden steps and there's a metal railing. So
Cool.
that chunk got broken, but now it's fixed.
Any questions for Sam from his
I
report?
do have one more question. The skate park thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about what happened and
Oh
where
yeah,
we
we were trying to drum up some enthusiasm to repaint it. So we went out there and we power washed the whole thing. We didn't get all the paint off, but we got a good chunk of it off. Faded it enough to where if you painted over it,
Right.
it would look nice. And then people are just busy. It's October and Eureka, so all the artists are doing shows, and so I don't know if we just didn't have enough time to drum up interest, but we essentially just said we're going to just postpone it till spring because too much going on.
Get some people to do it. I mean, is the idea to do it sort of a mural kind of thing, or just to get everybody randomly do?
Honestly, I don't know
things?
what the artistic vision was, but I think my thing was like, hey, it just needs to be fun. And the moment it doesn't feel fun, let's not do it.
Yeah,
Because,
you're right.
I mean, if
Yeah.
it feels like a burden on us, then,
Yeah, it needs to be a fun thing.
what's,
And the people who use it need to get
Yeah,
involved in
I
it.
think they'd like to.
yeah, so call out to any skate park users if you're interested in something like that. We were willing to provide the paint and all the supplies.
Does the school have art
They
classes?
do.
Yeah,
How about enlisting some students as a project of some sort?
yeah.
That's
that'd be
the
cool.
answer, yeah.
I mean, they do have to do,
I think Susan was going to look into that, because not only do the school have an art club, but also from year 9 going forward, they have to do 75 hours of community service before they graduate. So she was going to talk to whoever the new art club or art teacher is.
Yeah, there's a new art teacher, I don't know.
Yeah, because Jessica's moved on, to see, if we could apply this to their official community service.
Okay.
But I think it needs the oversight, and they were hoping to get artists to come as well.
Is this the Eureka Spring School or Clear Spring School?
Eureka
Or both?
Springs.
Eureka Spring School, but someone was also going to talk to Clear Springs as
Okay.
well, because the 75-hour community service applies statewide. So it's for that class, and anyone after them have to do community service. So we should
glad I'm
leverage
old.
this to some
Okay.
extent, and doing the skate park sounded like a fun option as opposed to maybe other options.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's a good reminder. I mean, I remember reading about that, but we should use them all the time. I think the parks have got to be a much more fun place to do community service than
I think it would be too.
the sewer plant or anything, I don't know.
I'm kind of curious, Sam, that made me think of something else. The mountain bike team now at the high school, there's an
Yes.
actual mountain bike team. Have they reached out to you and stuff for Leatherwood trails or any of the trails and just sort of?
No, they haven't, Mark. It's a very noticeable lack of reaching out to me about that.
They should be doing that,
Oh, I
right?
know.
Because we could kind of make that a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of excited they're doing that.
What are they doing?
They're doing really well.
They've got a whole team. It's an actual competition team, a mountain bike group from high school, like a basketball team, but mountain bike team.
I saw
Yeah.
the picture of the girls.
Yeah, I saw the picture of the girls, yeah, it's
Great.
cool.
Wow.
It's been around for 3 or 4 years, and I think it's soccer, basketball, and then mountain biking is a very close third behind basketball in terms of, participation from students, so. It's cool, yeah, it's great.
I run into him on Benton a couple times.
Yeah.
You didn't
a
like,
good
you
climb.
didn't
Or going down-
actually run into
or
them,
going
did
down
you?
the
No,
stairs.
okay.
I saw them.
Yes, I've seen that too.
I know you didn't mention this in your report, but I made a note to myself to ask about this. We talked about, when you mentioned Cabin 1, that most people here haven't really seen the cabins at all or in a while. We talked about doing a tour when you weren't so busy. I just want to keep reminding ourselves. I know we're busy right now and booked, but
Yeah,
just
no, yeah, it
Keep
would be
that-
cool to,
keep
I
reminding
mean,
ourselves that maybe
obviously,
next month.
we'd
next
have to
month.
probably like a workshop just for FOIA reasons, but we could pop down there and,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe next workshop we could go through and
Yeah, check the
show you
calendar
guys some
beforehand,
stuff and,
or the booking calendar, whatever, and if there's a couple that are empty, we could look at them.
yeah.
I don't want to barge in on people renting them.
Usually, I mean, Tuesday nights, I mean,
Yeah.
there's bound to be at least 1 or 2 cabins open, and some of them are pretty identical to the others, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 2, 3, 4, 5 are all pretty much the same, and then 6 is a little different just because it's perched up on the hill and it's got an extra bedroom. But then cabin 1's like, yeah,
Okay, yeah, I know.
yeah, it's the one that needs some
Now I know what
love.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
And October may be too busy even on Tuesdays, but you just keep that in the back of your head to check on that maybe.
Yeah, it's been really, really, I mean, it's great that it's busy, but it's been crazy out there in Leatherwood in a good way, so.
Yeah, and the weather is looking pretty good right now.
I know, right?
Something, but
Okay, any other questions for Sam? No? Okay, what's next?
Oh, sorry, can I make one more thing?
Yes, yes.
Just for a public announcement that
Uh-huh.
the soccer jamboree is this weekend.
Yes,
soccer
So,
jamboree.
The soccer jamboree is this weekend at Leatherwood. So just, if you're planning on going down there
It's
to
gonna be
go
a lot of
hiking,
people down
don't try to park there because it's going to be crazy.
Ah,
So,
cool.
yeah, there's lots of people.
it's great. I like when
It's
that-
fun, yeah, but you don't want to.
Is that adult soccer, child soccer, or?
Children's, yeah,
soccer.
it's
Okay.
a school.
But because they do it every year and it's been going on for so long, I mean, I know it like at my restaurant, I get regular business out of it. It's people
It's also
come
War
with their
Eagle,
families
so
and
there
kids.
could be a lot of things going on this
Yeah,
weekend.
it'll be,
Yeah, this weekend's War.
so those people come to Eureka just for the jamboree, but they also tend to get out in town too, so that's nice to know. Anything else, Sam?
Nope.
Committee reports. Carissa, anything with you? No, you've been busy. Okay.
I guess my question is, where did we end? Because we presented, we were going to add it to the agenda for one of these so that we could get public comments. I
Right.
think, yeah, we've kind of wrapped up.
Mhm.
We have a process that we'd like to formalize, but we
Present.
need
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
that's what we left.
public
We were going to do a
input.
presentation. That's right.
We've got a presentation
Okay.
ready.
Okay.
So I guess it's really just, do we want to do it, put it on the agenda, not for the next workshop, but for the next official meeting? Question mark.
Yeah. I would almost feel like, even if it's the same day as the meeting, make it a separate, schedule the presentation, then we'll have the meeting afterwards, or vice versa, so that it's its own separate entity. I think it would make
Yeah.
more sense.
Let
I'll
me-
just ask Kim about setting it up, and
So we could do it, I think, the hour, like 5 to 6, and then we have the, okay.
or depending upon if it's, even if it's not empty here at 5 o'clock, we could do it at 6, delay our meeting till later or something, I don't know. Let's ask Kim what's the best way to set that up.
For community involvement, probably 6 o'clock would be better. They get off work and then they could come here.
And
If you moved it
5.
upward, they might have to take off work to
Okay.
come in.
Can you,
I'll ask Kim about that, see what she says.
Most of the community knows that we start at 6 anyway, so
Okay. Any other committee stuff? Mark, anything finance going on?
No, nothing. I mean, it's going to kind of be busy right now. No, we
Can she sign checks?
do what?
Can Beth sign checks yet?
No, sorry, that's
Oh.
on me.
Okay.
Because when I needed to do it, she was out of town, and it requires her to go show her driver's license
Yeah.
and everything, so I will make sure that happens this week.
Plus
And they'll
Beth,
just,
Bethel's so far away.
She'll have to go by and get, and give her driver's license to CS Bank. Just, you have to just go in. But I'll go get that in the works.
And if you're lucky, they'll give it back to you.
That's so you can sign checks.
Yes. And we're going to talk about budget and finances during new business
Right.
tonight anyway, so it's all good. Any other committees? That's it. There is no old business on the agenda. We'll go straight to new business. The first item is quarterly financials, which we need to look at.
Yeah, so I included the year-to-date as well as, just the quarter, so. The year-to-date also has a little, more notes, and I highlighted numbers, percentages that stood out, anything that was like, would jump out at somebody, just highlight them. Obviously, red is, something that's over budgeted versus green is something that's, over revenued, so to speak. And then also included notes on those, so you guys could get a feel for what was going on there, why it's like that.
So, just a question, you've had a few months, and it's only been a few months, with the shuttle, that,
Oh, sorry.
no complaints, no issues generating, and now it's like a steady income?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been good, yeah. Yeah, I guess September was our first payment for the shuttles, and then we did October as just a 1 month thing, I think is how it happened. And then November and December will be just one payment.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we've been doing great. I mean, it's just no complaints really, and they've been actually, Nick Castro from the Gravity Feed, who's our private shuttle subcontractor, went out there and they've been doing all kinds of trail work, leaf blowing and raking and clearing up the trails and stuff, so.
I'd have to do some research, Sam, and Beth may know the answer to this better than I. I feel like there is a way to account for some of these expenses, for example, where CAPC funded part of it. We show it as an expense on that line item, but then we also put that money up in income. And there's a way to do it in QuickBooks or any accounting system where basically you're crediting cash or debiting cash and crediting that expense. So you're so that the expense actually reflects true expense as opposed to that. So there's an accounting way to handle that we probably need to get a little deeper in. I will ask a couple of friends of mine who do this a lot because I feel like that will represent these line items way better than having to put notes that we got reimbursed. Do you know what I'm saying, Beth, when I'm saying this?
Not exactly, that's why I was going to
Okay.
have you show
Okay.
that to me, what you're,
So let's go down to, just the one I was looking at immediately was signs, maps, and brochures, an
Okay.
example. See, it shows that we are like at 235% of our budget, but $5,000 was given to us from the CAPC, $2,700 was given back to us, so we reimbursed for that. When we take those reimbursement, it goes up in the income section, but it looks like we overspent. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So there's an accounting approach to that we're not using. And I think that we need to do that because it would more fairly represent what our actual expense was and what our actual income was, which we've talked about on chart of accounts.
Yeah.
We want to stop doing, we want to break our income down to the actual income because
Yeah.
we've had sale of equipment, we've had
Yeah.
T-shirt sales that we actually then give the money to somebody else. We've had donations. That needs to be accounted for in a way that's separate from sales at the bake shop, right, and the lodging. So we need to be able to break that out and be sub-accounts. But that's what Sam's talking about a lot with the COA is we now know a little better what we actually want to account for.
Yes, and also another thing too is if I can get with CAPC, there's been a lot of talk about them
Yeah.
helping us fund certain projects. If we know that in advance, it's gonna make the budget a lot more realistic.
Right.
I'm not gonna, you're not gonna see these, some of this stuff too is just, it got put in the wrong places and, for example, number 528, professional services, those invoices should have been placed in 504. But it's sort of jumbled right now. So there's definitely stuff we could clarify and just make a little
Yeah.
bit more.
And we could do a correcting journal entry if we needed to, but I don't think we need to this year. We just need to really pay really close
Yeah.
attention next year to those a little closer to make sure we're getting them in the right category. And if we check them quick enough and they're not, then we'll do the adjusting entry at the time, as opposed to waiting 6 months later and thinking, oh, we need to make an adjusting entry here. That gets confusing and nobody's got all the detail and data behind it. So, that's why I like this COE, because one thing too, just while we're on this, we've really been, this year, they've been really focused on spending Leatherwood money at Leatherwood and using that money for Leatherwood. And so what's really important is to break down Leatherwood expenses so that we have an accounting for where we're spending money at Leatherwood.
Yeah, like how much does it actually take to
Yes.
operate? And so that was part of, this is why the payroll too, if you guys look at 516, sorry it's printed up so small, but it's all on one page, which I like. Human resources and payroll, it's at 437, 490,
Right.
which is 90.5 what we budgeted. But the reason that is because it's really confusing. So we got the ordinance, and it states that we can use the Leatherwood fund for payroll,
For full-time
so
Leatherwood.
long as that payroll is, so long as those people are working and can account for the hours they spend at Leatherwood. So what we're doing is we're cutting all these people checks, and then our accountant, Nikki, is having to go back and reimburse the general fund from the Leatherwood fund. But so it's the, let's say $15,000 just for, for everyone's paychecks for one pay period. And then he has to go back and put another, let's say $7,000 from Leatherwood.
Right.
So now we're getting up, so now it looks like our payroll is $22,000, which it's not. And that's why the other income 410 is so high, is because what he's doing there, it's like there's no other way to do it based off how we set this up, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we are going to correct that, right? Like-
Yes, yeah, it's
And I-
in the plans to
Yeah, I think he's
correct
already
that
been, he's talked to the city about how we,
Yeah, we just need to write
We
him
write them
two
two
separate
checks.
checks.
Two checks. Write 'em two
Yeah,
checks now.
Two separate checks. And we've already gotten the okay from the city, Jerry and Michael down at the city, that's okay to do that.
Okay.
So,
that would help.
because yeah, and it just looks like a crazy jumbled mess. And also when I saw this a couple months ago and I was like, oh man, we are so past our payroll, like why is it so high? And then I realized that's the reason, because, yeah.
The money that came for the signage, the 5,000 and the 2,700, so it's up under income, but it's actually reimbursement of expense, right?
Yes.
So you could do sub-accounts and put them in sub-accounts under the expense. Then you can print the profit and loss either with detail, which would show you those sub-accounts, or the total would be
Okay.
like this, and it wouldn't show up in that 11,000.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's sort of my point is I know there's an accepted accounting way to handle
That's how other businesses
reimbursement of
I take care of do,
expenses.
is
That's
they-
not income. It's really just somebody paid the expense, but you paid it first and they reimbursed you for it. So we need to
I was about to say,
get in there and get
I
that.
need
I-
your brains
Yeah.
to come and look at this
That just
stuff.
seems like the simplest, most straightforward, and then you can also, like I say, you can do the standard P&L, or you can do the detail, which would show you the 11, or the total, and then show the sub-accounts of this much came, or was paid back by CAPC, this much was
Yeah.
by the trail. and-
Yeah.
So you've got all that there, but
And part of it too, like I said, is just, working with other departments and knowing what to expect. Like, okay, if we can nail out that they're going to give us X amount of dollars for 2024, if for certain things, I mean, I can add that into the expense list, but then I can also add it into the, and you can look at the new COA that Mark helped me out a little bit with it.
Is the
There's reimbursements and grants for general and for the restricted, the Weatherwood Fund. So there's a line item for that. It's not just saying income, it's saying reimbursement. So
Right.
that's different, you know, it's,
I see.
that way we can at least distinguish, you know, what is.
But if it's in QuickBooks as an income account, it's always going to be separate. It's not going to reconcile with the expense.
Okay. Yes, correct. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you'd want to put them together to where you could, okay,
They need to be the same type of account to.
okay.
What is it called, a contra account? Is that what they call it in QuickBooks, a contra account? Where, the reason I even heard that term is because a good friend of mine is an accountant, and they have sort of the same problem, which everybody has these days with like Square and all the ways they collect money, where there's those fees, and you're basically reporting a fee as an income when it's not, because you're basically collecting it for them, and then they take their money and we don't ever see it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
if we were a for-profit business, that would be a big problem, because now we're reporting income we've never had it. It's not an income.
True, it's not
just
income.
an expense, right?
Right.
So so you'd have basically, you collected it, you have a contra account, which is expense, and it zeros itself out right then, and it's never showing up.
Like a pass-through almost, it's like it's
Yeah,
just going through you.
exactly,
It's
but
not-
it's very clear that that's what that is. So.
Yeah, like number 503, that's what that is. Credit
Yeah, so-
card and
So I
vendor
feel like
fees
this
paid.
is almost like that, Beth, right? Like it's sort of like, we're paying it, but they're paying us back, so it's like,
Yeah, so
a
it actually
zero-
ought to be going against the expense account, as
Yeah.
a reimbursement on the expense
Yeah.
account, not as an income coming in.
So
So-
just to summarize, it can either be set up as a sub-account or as a reimbursement on the expense.
Yes.
Poor Carissa, she's trying to keep. So I think what you and Beth are saying, really the gist is that you're going to come down and help.
yes.
Okay,
Yep,
that's what I'm hearing.
that works.
You want a date and time?
Beth has
Right.
very current experience with QuickBooks. I do not. I do understand accounting principles. And when I see something that doesn't make sense, 99.9% of the time, it's because if you've ever known accounting principles, you know that just would not be an accounting principle. There's no way that they would allow you to take this dollar and put it here and then take it away from over here.
Yeah.
You know, so, but how to do it in QuickBooks is another whole story. But Beth has very recent experience with that. and
All day today.
Can be a very
Yesterday.
good help for you with that.
Oh, man, I bet Beth was pumped about tonight's meeting. She does QuickBooks all day, and then she's like, oh, we get to go talk about financials at parks, too.
So what's the
Great.
action here?
Well, the
The
finance
finance
committee,
committee
which
is
is me
gonna-
and Beth, basically will work with Sam, and we'll work out some of these. And really, we're not going to try to correct everything that happened in the last year. We're going to,
We want to set it up.
next year going
For next
forward,
year,
so we're
yeah.
doing it right.
Yeah,
And it's not really a discrepancy, it's
No,
more
it's
of an
not.
abnormality.
It's not even that. It's just not a adequate representation of what happened. So, 10 years from now, for example, somebody goes and looks at 10 years ago books, they're not going to understand any of that. But if you do it right, you should be able to go back to the books 10 years ago and tell exactly what happened based on what this chart account says.
yeah.
And that's what you want to do. That's what you want, you want it to be obvious.
You want to be accountable.
Yeah,
Yes.
so. I think that Scott did a really good job, when he was doing stuff of writing notes and keeping all that kind of stuff down, because there was a lot of adjustments
Yeah.
early on, so that's important.
All this time, and it's like, haven't heard anyone say anything about that big fat green line down there at the bottom. I mean, that's really what we're here for, right?
That's a good thing.
At the end of the day, yes.
Can't miss it. Looks
Wahoo.
beautiful.
The woohoo,
Yeah.
Hey, you still got 3 more months to disappoint us.
Don't worry. I was telling Rod, I was like, it's been a little
that's why he's trying to get it.
pricey October, I think, so. But the good news is, you know, town's been hopping, so I mean, our
Absolutely.
sales tax percentage payments that we get will probably be, August might be a little bit
August
low,
was
but
terrible in town for a lot
Yeah.
of people. September was off, for most people I talked to,
Mm-hmm.
but not horrible, because September was great last year, so it was off this year, meaning it was just less than
Yeah.
last year, but still gonna be
October's
good for
been
us.
popping.
October's been popping, yeah.
yeah. And hopefully November too, will just,
I think it will, and I think December this year with all the Christmas stuff they have scheduled for downtown and all that,
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good year for
So
November,
Sam, do
December.
we need, when Beth gets back, should take a quick break. We need to approve these for the financials.
Yeah, we had to approve
P&L
these so
for-
I can submit them to
To the city.
Finance
the
committee.
clerk who
Huh?
sends them to the
Or is
council.
it the commission?
The commission.
Okay.
Yeah, we all had to approve this. Again, you're going to just submit these without all the notes, right?
Oh, come on, man, that's so
No notes.
boring.
No notes.
Yeah, I'll take the notes. I'll take the notes and the
And
color,
then,
and
I don't
everything
know,
else.
Ruth may have to assign a copy. Does she have to sign a copy, or we just have to approve?
I think I just, you know, as soon as you guys
Okay.
approve them,
Then you
which,
can just send it to them?
yeah, I can just
I think so.
forward it to Ida.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we just vote to approve that they're,
Do we do that at this commission? Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, we don't have to fix every little problem we have, we just have to vote to see whether we think they're the
Adequate.
correct and adequate
Well,
of what happened.
And all of this, just for the public's knowledge too, that this is pulled completely out of a system. This is not anybody's, Sam is not manipulating data here or anything like that. It's popping out based on how it's coded in the system, and it comes out as a report that's designed to do this.
no, I sit there with, well, I
With
use
the
my
magnifying
phone.
glass.
I use my phone because I wish I had a little calculator, but I keep forgetting to buy one. But I'll just take the number and then I got the QuickBooks, you know, this, and then I also have our budget.
Right.
And I just go through and I divide it up and get the percentages for each one. And then I put it right there and it's
Well, and also you notice discrepancy. If there's something that seemed off, you'd have a discrepancy. You can go into the system, you can weed out, you can go to that account and see what's been mischarged or charged differently.
I don't know is it illegal for a commissioner to gift the director
An old
an
calculator.
old
That's-
Casio SL300
That should
DE?
probably be in a museum.
It works as long as you have solar power.
Yeah, if it's worth a lot of money, probably not, but we don't know what it's worth, so.
It is great to see the percentage to budget, though.
I know what
It's very helpful.
Yeah,
I know. Wait. I'll be generous.
actually,
That's
it's
what it's
better
worth.
than seeing the actual budget.
Well, then I would make a motion to approve the P&L as presented by Sam.
Seconded.
Let's mark this. Carissa, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The financials are approved. And Sam can take them to Ida, City Hall. Where's my agenda? Oh, after quarterly financials, it says initial review of 2024 budget
Sorry.
on the agenda.
Yeah, so, I, you know, just figured while this stuff is fresh in our head, we could look at, you know, ideas for what the COA could look like, chart of accounts, that is. You know, I put some numbers in here, but I need some help with Excel as well. I'm not great at
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets, but
So could we, because I think we had a workshop last time. It'd be, I don't want to spend a ton of time on the sort of ordinary stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe focus on the capital improvements, because we had a lot that we deferred, that we didn't do. Some things ended up costing a lot less than what we'd anticipated. I think we should take a look at there are still a lot of things that need to be done, and maybe have a workshop to prioritize which capital improvements do we want to do next year, the year after, maybe get a plan as far as those maintenance items that we know will need to be done. Because we still have, you know, we're within budget, but we still have some excess set aside. It'd be useful to sort of look at, should we spend some of that, not all of it, but some of that?
Yeah, and I think we need to get, and I think we'll be able to do that in the next month or so, sort of a projection of what our surplus would be at the end of the year, what we expect to have at the end of the year. left in our bank accounts,
Hey,
right?
added to our bank accounts.
Added to our bank accounts, so that we do know like what our surplus. But one of the biggest things, obviously, to determine if it's actually surplus is, and surplus, I sort of a reserve, thing, but so much has to do with projected revenue.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think if we were to go back and look at projected revenue as it was projected last year's budget and compared exactly that, we might be a little surprised that it does not look like that. We got lucky in a lot of ways, in the sense that we offset some expenses on things. But revenue itself, I'd like to see what was the actual lodging revenue versus what they said was going to happen. What was our tax revenue versus what was said, because we need historically to be paying attention to how close we are in our projection.
Well, I think that with COVID kind of disturbed a lot of that, what used to be a constant,
What you knew was going to happen,
you knew was
right?
going to happen, you also knew, you could easily look back and say, oh yeah, that was close. No, that's all a mess
Yeah,
now.
and this year, like, we don't have shuttle. The shuttle thing is not a guess.
Right.
It's an exact, right?
Yes, yeah.
So we'll have a little better projection in that, in some of those categories. So, for example, let's say we had, I'm just going to throw a number out, $500,000 surplus at the end of the year that we still have in the bank, and it's before January starts, right? And we project, so we do a budget up to 1.2 million, so using 200,000 of our, and we project, we project that we're going to have $1 million in revenue. But we do a budget of 1.2, so we're expecting to use $200,000 of that 500,000, right? But our revenue ends up only being 900,000.
Yeah.
So now we've used $300,000 of that. So that's why I like having enough cushion, because we don't always know that our projected revenue is our revenue.
Okay.
And
So
with
I-
our,
Absolutely.
50% of our budget is labor. And God knows we could use more people, but, we're spending 50% of our budget in labor. And we don't have exorbitant salaries or anything. So, that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. The level of funding that we actually have in the parks is minute, for what we have here. So I think projecting revenue is probably one of the key elements of our budget next year. And we're not going to be 100% right, but I think we have a little better feel. We don't have so many random estimations of shuttles, and things like, and that expense is gone too, so we know exactly what that's going to be.
Yeah.
So, I totally agree. We need to have some contingency in that, and make our estimates conservative. So it would be really good to look at how close did we get. Would we be able to do that for 2022? Or because we've changed? Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
can we
would.
look back
Yeah,
and see?
absolutely.
I know 2022 was
Was-
slightly different.
And it was the
than-
first year of the new chart of accounts.
Yeah.
2022 was,
Okay.
I think.
So let's
not
look at
mistaken.
what our planned versus actual, what are the variances, what our trend was.
Which is
see
why
if
I sort of
there's
like not
anything.
budgeting that surplus, like how we did it last year, where we said, okay, we will
Yeah, that worked out
add
good.
funds as we go, because we have a better feeling for what the revenue was. And if the revenue was staying like we expected, then we did
Yeah.
have that surplus, and we didn't have to worry about not being able to pay our employees. Because
Right.
I don't want to ever get there,
We
right?
can do that, I totally agree, but at the same time, I think it's prudent to kind of prioritize.
Oh, absolutely.
And say, okay, out of what we have, sort of still to be done.
Absolutely, and
would
what we think the
prioritize
costs are,
first?
yeah.
At what point would we feel comfortable with committing those resources? Is it an estimate or is it a pretty firm quote? What level of accuracy do we think it is?
Absolutely.
Get all of that up front so that we can then, once we feel, okay, well, we're, because let's face it, it's seasonal.
Yeah.
And you don't know until you're partway through the year whether you're going to actually hit your projections or not. So we can then kind of say, okay, well, we'd make a decision on, you know, this time, this quarter, we release funds as we go.
And we also have CAPC that's really willing to help us this year. So if we have any particular projects to fund there, then they ask you specifically, like,
Well, yeah,
What-
if they were to fund a project, it would be, you know,
a specific one?
specific projects. Yeah, they're not just going to say, you know, here's X amount of dollars, have fun. But, you know, we would essentially provide them with quotes. You know, they would commit, like, they would vote that we would provide, just for example, like up to $10,000 for this specific project. It'd be up to me to go get the quotes. You know, if it's a little over, then we just, Parks pays the remaining. If it's a little under, then they pay up to that amount. They wouldn't just like give us the extra left over. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. Also, like you guys were saying, I think it's good to prioritize. In my mind, it's, you know, the winter time, those first few months of the year are like a really good time to get stuff done. And so like we want to pick those projects that we absolutely know that we want to do for January, February, like let's get those done now. And then if there's money left over, we can start finding those smaller project, or not smaller, but projects that we are a little further down the pecking order. And, you know, if we have the money come November or something like that, we can start looking into those. But you know, we just don't want to like spend everything all at once and then not have any money left over. So.
Well, I think,
And I think maybe that's it.
from what, hearing this too, we need to have a little, maybe our next workshop or even a specific workshop to do these things before we really, like two separate things.
Yeah.
Do that first, set the
I agree.
priorities, do these things, and then we can have a quick thing at that point, I would think. That'll be a long one, then the second one will be quicker to do with the actual budget.
Yeah, I think Sam and his staff should be getting that wish list, you know,
Yeah,
together. And we should start at least getting budget estimates for that wish list. I mean, don't go out to RFP or anything, but, you know, just,
Yeah.
like, can you give me a quick estimate of what you think it would cost to do this? So at least we've got it in our heads.
We're prepared, yeah.
And I want to really emphasize something else, and Sue Hubbard brought this up. I don't know if we've been as good about it as we should. I know we've been good about approving the funds, but what we should do, the minute we approve funds that we said were from reserves, you know, like you can do this, to go back and literally adjust the budget for that amount and put a note on the date that we approved that $15,000 additional. There's a difference in saying, yeah, you can do it out of that expense account versus, no, we're going to give you $15,000 more out of reserves to do it. And I think we need to be really good at like adjusting that the next day. Like,
When you do something like, do you like create a new line item for that item? For that
no,
you
let's
just
say,
move
for
it over, okay.
example, I'll just use a random thing, like vehicles.
Right.
And Sam came in and said, hey, we've got to have a new truck. And we all said, okay, we approved $25,000 out of our reserve account to buy a new truck. Then I would want Sam to go into the budget under vehicles and add $25,000 with a note that commission approved on this date.
Yeah.
So that we have adjusted our budget accordingly, because I'm assuming that you kind of did that on some of these that maybe might look like it's over, but because we did do that like 3 or 4 times this year.
Yeah, and part of that too is, you know, taking over in March, you know, I was essentially inheriting a budget from
Right.
that, I mean, I don't want to sound like an autocrat or anything, but it's like different director, different visions, and, you know, different ways of doing things. So it's like,
Not only,
I was-
but they also did things at the very beginning, y'all did things at the beginning of last year, like you're talking about in the winter. They did spend a lot of money at the beginning of the year doing a few things.
yeah,
They wanted to get done. So a lot of your expense was already done.
yeah,
You know,
right.
like by
Yeah,
the
when
time
you
you
came in
got.
March, you were done.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully this year will go smoother in terms of just picking out those, you know, capital improvement expenses and sticking to them. I know there's been a lot of changes, and part of that too is just there's so much to fix that it's, you know, when something falls in your lap, you know, an opportunity, you kind of just have to jump at it. But I agree, we do need to be like adding that into the budget.
Yeah, because
as we go along.
Otherwise, it will look like we went over budget if you were to compare it, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't, because we gave you the money, so that budget should have been
Yeah,
increased.
yeah.
And I like that it be in the budget, because you can look back at the minutes and find that that happened, but it would be to search versus being with the budget where you
Right.
can look it up specifically.
When is the budget due? When do we have to submit to the
In
city?
January.
In January, like the first week of January.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people don't even get them in by then, right? We tried to.
January.
Well, we should have it
That is the
approved in the
calendar year
December
budget.
meeting, right?
We'll have it approved in our
Right.
December meeting, hopefully.
We have to approve.
And then the January council meeting, their first council meeting, right, is where they want it, I think.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
They'll be hounding us, I'm sure.
Although, I mean, we're kind of separate, you know, I mean, a little bit. I mean, they still are going to want to see it and approve it, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll have
They're
it.
not dependent on what we do, and we're not.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, it's just.
But they will hound us as they should for, like they do financial statements.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, I mean, I just wanted to provide this, don't look at the specific numbers or really even, the items under infrastructure, M&R, whatever. I mean, I put LLCP workshop and cabin renovations, and then I kind of realized, like, we should probably just be talking, like, have a workshop and talk about this stuff first before we, so I just left them in there as an example, but really I was wanting you guys just to focus on looking at the chart of accounts, mostly Beth and Mark, and then also just for kind of thinking about things that we could potentially purchase, or, projects, potential projects that we need to.
Can I ask if we've
Mm-hmm.
included a salary increase, like a cost of living increase for the payroll in here? Good.
Not yet. This is not
Well, I mean.
any numbers, right?
We don't know what the COLA.
I mean, I need to figure out how to like link because there's, in the Excel spreadsheet, I have planned on raises for everyone, but on the spreadsheet, there's a way to link like whatever number it is, 516, human resources and payroll, and then there's another sheet, and you go in there and you
Right.
change salaries around and whatever, and it will automatically update that human resource, which is like pretty awesome, but I need to figure out how to do that kind of stuff.
Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, rather than get a bunch of new numbers on some things, you can have subgroups, and say, for example, professional services. If you want to break those services out into one thing and one thing else, you could still have the core professional services, but -01 is watershed agreement, -02 is something else, architect or whatever. That keeps it still able to roll up, but is able to break it out also.
So, yeah, so we can put a
So I
detailed
think
one and we can
that's
see all
something-
that.
That's
Sort
what
of think about it in your
sub-accounts do.
head, like-
Sub-accounts affect the main account.
Like, you don't have to have a different one for every little thing. You can count it from the high level. Is that talking too much? All right, well, we'll share that with you.
I think I'm a visual learner.
We'll come in and sit down.
Yeah.
That's odd.
I'm sure.
One thing I did want to point out, or just, just to look at right off the bat was, the LLCP overhead versus the LLCP income. Or, general income restricted. I mean,
Are we talking the budget thing now, or
the new proposed
Okay.
budget, so,
pretend one?
I mean, I think the way Nikki and I have been doing it was just we look at our timesheets, and there's a line item for, hours spent at LLCP for each employee. Obviously, some of those employees spend 80 hours per pay period there, so it's like all of it goes there. Other people spend, 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week out there, but it's sustainable right now just because we've had so many, excuse me, because we've gone so long with paying all of our payroll out of the general account. But if we keep going the route we're going to go, we're going to, the overhead for LLCP, if you really think about it, it's more than we're making. Like, we can't, because we're, all the income from operations goes to the general account. So like,
But wouldn't that be the case for any of the parks? Like the Springs don't make any money.
well, this is specific because it has its own separate bank account. So,
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I think maybe we need to like vote on deciding what amount of payroll, like, does it need to be a full-time year-round employee who's specifically dedicated to Leatherwood? Or is it just, you know, if someone goes out and rakes a trail, does that come out of Leatherwood account or does that come out?
Honestly, I would defer that to the finance committee.
Yeah,
My immediate reaction, without thinking it through too long, is for counting purposes, I would rather do that. If you were in a large corporation, for example, and you had charge numbers for your time, you know, and that went into a counting system and it automatically kicked it out based on what you entered in the system.
We
You
do-
know,
we do not
That'd be a
have that.
non-problem, that'd be a no problem, right? Non-issue. But the way we do it and the way it's done through the city and everything else, trying to track that to the nth degree of somebody spends 5 hours this week there and 5 hours, and how do you report that back to the city so we reimburse out of each account correctly? I would say no. I would say you have very specific positions that are charged to Leatherwood and very specific positions that are not. And then there's no question, we know exactly how to do it each payroll period,
So-
who pays what.
And or even a position that you may call 80% not Leatherwood, always, you know, and the position itself is labeled that, if you know that that's what that position usually does, 20% at like Leatherwood, maybe, you know, you could figure that out by
yeah.
watching it.
So basically, you know, the park manager job and then the park attendant job would be the two jobs where that's pretty much,
They're an absolute.
yeah, I mean, that's 100. I mean, Juanita comes to the employee meetings at Harmon every other week. We have them there for an hour.
But still,
But I
as
mean,
a-
that's like-
it's still as a representative of.
As a
LLC.
representative
So she's
of
still.
Leatherwood, to give
yeah.
us news on Leatherwood. So, yeah. Okay, that makes more sense because it is a little tricky to,
Yeah, I don't see how you
It's
can
kind of a headache to-
legitimately account for that
yeah.
accurately.
And it's not consistent,
Yeah,
it
it's not
can't be
consistent.
consistent because you can't account for it easily, and it's,
Yeah,
looking back at records of that are just not going to make any sense for someone 10 years from now.
exactly.
We just basically want to make it to where you know, years past, the general account would just get depleted because all the payroll is coming out there.
And then
the
we had all
Leatherwood
this
account's just like,
limited funds that, you know, we had this
Yeah.
gigantic limited funds that we should have been spending instead of spending the general funds.
yeah. So it has helped the way we've been doing it this year, but it's not, we need to really solidify how we want to continue that, just modify it a little bit, so.
Cool.
Oh, FYI, we put our deposit in for Jamboree 2024.
The fireworks?
Fireworks, yes.
It's going to be on July 4th.
July 4th on the 4th,
The actual forum.
which is a Thursday next year, is that right?
Yes.
It's on a Thursday. It's going to be great. It's exciting. Okay. Any other questions about this budget thing, other than we know we need to make some workshop time?
Well, and that's another thing too. It's like, that's a weird budget question because it's for 2024, but we had to pay it. We wanted to get it reserved because it's July 4th and we didn't want to lose that
It's a
date.
prepaid expense. And we should have prepaid expense thing.
I've never dealt with prepaid expense. Expenses in the year.
Well,
that's
and yeah,
spent
we're sort of a cash basis accounting.
Yeah.
So actually,
It's 2023.
actually,
Yeah.
if we're gonna pay it this year, it's gonna come out of this year's budget.
Okay.
So
So
he can wait
next
till
year's-
January 1st.
Next year's
We're good.
special events will
But
look,
something
will
like
look
that is
better.
where you can do a sub-account and say, name the sub-account 2024, you know, so you know exactly what it was.
I need to
Or someone
learn of
who
these
doesn't know could
sub-accounts
tell.
you speak of.
I'm all about sub-accounts.
Well, and if we get back on track of doing these every year, which I think we are now, I think we will be, that'll happen every year. It'll just be consistent. You would pay, because you have to pay this early to get
Yeah, it'll be
the
one
dates.
year, it's only 1 year you're gonna have a double cost, right?
Yeah.
From now on, it'll always be, we could pay it, to get that date reserved, so.
Cool.
All good.
Would you please?
There's some more over here, Jim.
Stop the madness.
Moundo chocolate here.
Y'all want some of the cherry one?
Ooh,
Or the-
cherry? Ooh, okay, yeah, probably.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions about budget or
No
finance things?
Take that to the end.
Okay. Then I think we're good with the agenda. Move on to commissioner comments. You start with Beth.
I would just say, Mark, let's pick a time or a date and however we have to do it. If we need to publish that we're going to be doing it or whatever and get down there and
Yes.
do accounts.
That is a good question. If Beth and I are going to go meet with Sam as a finance committee,
We need to
do
put-
we have to call Kim ahead of time and she has to post it that we're meeting with Sam? But,
I think you just need, is it 2 hours? I can't remember. 4 hours?
yeah, it's not a lot of time, I don't think.
No.
I'll take a note that I'll call Kim and find out what we need to do.
Okay.
Sounds good. I guess the only other thing I might ask about is the art club thing, although I know right now is probably not the time of year for them to start doing that. But you said was Sue was going to look into that?
So, yeah, she wasn't she? 'Cause-
Yeah, Susan, yeah.
In the
So
office?
she was going to find out who the new art teacher was, whether they were still had the art club,
Oh, yeah.
and if they'd be interested in getting involved in that project.
Okay.
So,
So we just need to check with her to see.
yeah,
if-
well, it was Phyllis that was, it was her brainchild, like it was her idea, and she was trying to get local artists. But with the lack of local artists, we may just see if the art club maybe wants to do it. I don't know.
It's the kind of thing I think kids, it seems, I mean, yeah, it seems more like a fun kid project.
It could
to
even
do.
be
I mean,
well, if it's a community service, so it can really be a contest probably, but.
Yeah, probably can.
I
We
would think
should
so.
paint
It might
it and then
be
have an
kind of-
actual skateboarding contest.
Ooh.
Why have we never done this? Where we come out and have judges and, not that I know anything about skateboarding, but
You would try it, though.
I would try. It's totally rad, bro.
That's all for me.
I haven't
Nothing to
skateboarded
add.
I have not skateboarded in our skateboard park before, thank goodness. So I would just be out there to watch.
I have nothing to
Chris is passing.
add.
Carissa has nothing to add?
I have
Mark?
something to say. Based on many recent, not many, a couple, 2 or 3 recent Facebook postings, negative comments, so everybody's got their opinion. I'd like to just statement for all of those who are listening of things to not do. 1, don't speak for everyone. If you have something to say, in my opinion, not Americans think that the signs look horrible. You know, speak up for yourself. 1. 2, the minute you start bad-mouthing our staff, I'm going to tell you personally, I'm turning it off. I'm no longer listening to you. You're not relevant to me anymore. When you're coming at it with a negative approach, I think as a whole, this town is tired of it. We're open to suggestions, to help, to volunteers, to positive interactions, but we are done with negative, bad-mouthing people. We have a great staff. We're very proud of them. We're proud of our parks. A lot has happened in the last year. Are we perfect? No. We're all willing to listen to anybody's opinion. But don't assume your opinion is the only opinion. There's a lot of opinions. You know, we as the commission, along with our director, have the responsibility to make the decision. If you want to be on the decision-making path, get on the commission, send in your request, solutions for things, offer positive suggestions. All of us here will be happy to listen and present them if we believe also that they're the right thing to do. A call or an email to the Parks Department or the city or anything. If you have enough time to get on Facebook and badmouth everybody, you've got enough time to pick up the phone and call and ask the question. You might just get the right answer if you call directly. I mean, a prime example is somebody posting some hateful comment about the temporary railing. Oh, it's getting on Facebook and negative responses as opposed to calling the city and saying, hey, is that temporary? And the city could have said, yeah, that's just temporary. That would have been the easy, and I mean, it'd be that easy. So if you really care, that's what you would do. The rest of it is just to be hateful. That's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to offer solutions to anything. You just want to be hateful. And also, don't assume, by some of these posts that I've seen, you assume that all of us are stupid, and we have not looked into anything. We've never even considered asking the right appropriate people for something, because we're all just dumb, and you have the answer and we don't. Let's not just assume that all of us have never thought about that. Most of us have worked in corporate environments, and we understand that you have to get the answers from the people who know. So don't assume that we are just passing everything without thinking about it. And that's what I have to say on that subject. As you can see, a couple of things hit me. And it's true not just for us. It's been true for all the other commissions. It's been true for the city council.
You speak for
These-
a lot of
these negative
public servants in
posts.
this town.
And I personally have talked to so many people in town. They're done with this negative stuff too. They want a cohesive government, a cohesive commission that is doing positive things, getting excited about things. I ran into some people today at a restaurant that said, "Oh my gosh, we had such a good time at Jamboree. We're going to do this next year, aren't we? There's positive things going on out here. We're going to stay positive." I try not to let that get to me, because I know that they're not really speaking for everybody. But there's a way to handle it, and it doesn't mean they don't have valid concerns.
Sure.
Valid concerns we care about. Tell us. If you want to volunteer, if you think one of the springs looks horrible, call down there and ask when you could go down and when would be appropriate time for you to do
Solution-oriented,
that.
like you said.
Yeah.
Find a solution, don't just...
Yeah, you want to deadhead plants? I'm pretty sure all of our parks employees would be happy to let you do that, So let's be positive instead of finding negative things to attack, because then it becomes personal, and then it becomes we don't hear you.
Right.
Okay.
And like I said, I think you speak for a lot of people. And the negativity, it is a minority. I mean, I spent the last couple of days listening to lots of positive comments. Thank goodness I didn't have to. That one negative thing I had to deal with, that we all did, was a very small part of this last weekend. I heard lots of positive things about Jamboree, about parks, about how things are going, how getting ready for Christmas decorations, getting ready for the fall. I mean, just lots of positive stuff the last couple of days. People that went hiking down Black Bass Lake and talked about how much they love the porta potty there, how much they loved how nice it is to hike there with their dog now, because it's just more pleasant. And lots of positive interaction I've had. So when you get the negative thing, like you said, if it's not offering a solution, it's just someone complaining, I do turn it off too. So unfortunately, they have a right to speak, but then again, we don't have to listen to them complain if they're not going to be part of the solution. So thank you. That's my comment. Rod?
I'm basically agreeing with everything you said, so you just took it for me. Thank you.
Anything else to say for you today, Sam?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm excited though. We're fall's exciting time. It's like weather's beautiful, and really looking forward to reopening the lake loop.
Yes, that's pretty exciting.
It's gonna be awesome. I'd like to have a little ribbon cutting out there, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When they can open the dam and that back bridge part, when they get all that done.
And I'm thankful that Stephen Dickey's been working with you
A
on
month away.
helping out there too. It's nice to have his expertise.
Yeah.
So that's good. I made a note to myself about something here. I can't read it, so it doesn't matter.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? We have minutes to approve from the last regular meeting, which was September 19th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I haven't actually seen.
Oh, you haven't?
I didn't
I've-
get those
I'm-
either.
Oh, were they
Is it
posted?
these ones?
I put them in the
Dropbox.
Dropbox folder, but it didn't happen
You know, why don't
until
we-
today at like 4 p.m.
Since we're not in a hurry, can we just approve them the next time, together with the next
Yeah, that's
minutes?
Yeah, nobody's waiting on these for anything, as
Just-
far
I
as I know.
haven't seen them, and I'm sure there's not a lot to worry about, but I hate to approve something I haven't even read.
With your names on here, you want to make sure you won't misquote it or
Yeah.
anything. So.
Yeah. Well, it
Okay.
was an important meeting, because it was the one where we approved the dam.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's add those to the next regular meeting. And before we adjourn, let's again make sure, remind ourselves, our next workshop we're going to talk about budgets,
Budgets.
budget
process.
stuff, okay, okay.
Oh, wait, workshop budgets, the meeting, formal meeting is the process.
And we also, so, workshop, make another note for workshop. We have a budget workshop that we'll need to do. And if we can't do that next workshop, we could do it the next one.
Yeah, we've got time.
We've got time for that. But one of the next two, I do hope we can do the Leatherwood thing where we do the workshop at Leatherwood and go look
Oh,
at
yeah.
some of the things there. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I mean, it's,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, we could do it in that case. I mean, we could have the meeting out at Leatherwood and we could go through the because cabin renovations is going to be something regardless.
I'd love to see
I mean,
that. And then maybe
so-
at the same time, we can get a little update on the dam and,
Yeah.
I mean,
That'd be
we're out there, we
nice.
could do
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
So the next workshop at Leatherwood.
So that's November 7th, right?
First
First
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
First Tuesday, yeah.
Yes.
Is that really this November? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It just sounds weird.
This is the 17th.
Halloween is almost here.
Also, so just one last thing, I guess, before we stop. If you guys have anything that you want on the agenda, I'm assuming what we could do, because it's sort of like me just setting the agenda, right? But
Yeah, we can just email you. And
it'd be nice if you guys wanted to add it, and then I can talk with Ruth about it, at least for another couple months, and then I won't be talking to Ruth about it anymore. But, she'll have to,
Yes.
yes, she won't be the chair.
Yeah, it's not because I'm dying or anything like that.
No. Sorry, yeah, that's a
I
little
just won't be
morbid.
chair after the end of
That
the
was a
year.
little morbid, yeah, she has to, yeah, she has to give up her
she will.
position as chair after the end of
Every
this year.
January, we elect new officers, so. so
Yeah.
If he said next couple of months, he's right. It's only November and December. After that, it would be somebody else. So,
Okay,
And so, just so like everyone feels like they can participate in the agenda making, if you want something on the agenda, email me and then I'll talk with Ruth for now, whoever's the chair in the future, and like we can decide to put it on the agenda or not. I know there's so many FOIA rules and, it's kind of crazy, but, I think that's a simple way to make sure you guys.
And we
have
don't
things
typically
on
have the sort of things that the city would have, or even
Right.
maybe CAPC would have, that we would say, no, we can't put that on the agenda, because we just don't typically have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it should go through the chairperson first.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And the process has been kind of, the Parks Director tends to know what he wants to talk about, or he or she wants to talk about. Then the Parks Chair knows if anybody else has said anything, and it goes back and forth. But it starts there, comes here, and it goes back there.
Yeah.
I know it's always done that. I don't know why. That's just,
Hey, catch.
It works. So if it works, don't fix it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think of a process. If anyone would, Fraud wanted to add something to the agenda, like, there's no reason why he cannot do so.
Exactly.
We have to
if
do
email
it
you or
through
email
certain
me.
channels or whatever.
Email either way,
Yeah.
no. I think that's been the channel, and that seems to work.
Okay.
All right, then I move to adjourn.
That's
I
Mark.
second.
Do I have a second? That's Carissa. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
aye.
Motion passes 4-0. We are adjourned at 7:28 PM. Thank you.
Thank